We'll start with Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers, Matt Canada. We talk about them a lot, but a really interesting article came out from The Athletic that Ziggy sent us earlier today. And when you look at Kenny Pickett as a whole this offseason, really pretty much praise all around. From the top to bottom, from Omar Khan all the way down to other players, they're just saying he's improving. We've seen him. He's gotten bigger. I think he's put on 10 or 15 pounds this offseason. Focused. He's detailed. Just playing really good football in camp or in OTAs and minicamp so far. But there's one interesting quote that Matt Canada had today. And we've talked about before how you and Andrew really don't like Matt Canada, how you think he's predictable, he's a bad play caller, could ruin the offense. But something came out where he said, there's an identity that's coming from the organizational plan, right? It's not like I'm coming in here and saying what it is. There is a plan from Art Rooney to Coach Tomlin. We do have an identity. We're going to be a physical team, and if you do stop the run, then we have to take advantage of that with play action passes, misdirection passes down the field. That is when Kenny has to make those plays when he is called upon. So we know the Steelers want to be this tough-nosed, run of the football, pound it in your face kind of a team. But Kenny Pickett, with all these strides that he's making, I kind of wonder if they're making a mistake not letting him a little bit more off the leash than it seems like they plan to right now.
So look at the Pittsburgh Steelers first off. Historically, you talk about Pittsburgh Steelers. They're a team who their true identity has been run the ball and play very tough defense. That's what the Steeler way is. I don't hate it. I've never liked Matt Canada. As you know, it'll be a 3rd and 8, and he'll throw a screen behind the line, and we'll get stopped.
Yeah,
just stupid nonsense
playing
like that.
Not to lose.
Playing not to lose. You know, there were a lot of times where he took the cuffs off Big Ben. Like Ben, he was throwing the ball great, and then we'd abandon it. If we're running the ball great, he abandoned it, and he just it doesn't make a lot of sense. With that said, though, I don't think it's such a terrible thing. Look, you built your offense. The O-line's improved. It's going to be a little bit better than it was last year for sure. We got some new weapons. We got A-Rob. We got Darnell Washington, who can also block. A couple big tight ends now. Mm-hmm. If we can run the football, I think what he's trying to say is if Najee can be successful running the ball, then that opens up Pickett's ability to throw the ball. I don't think he's trying to say, Najee's going to be the heart and soul of this offense. I think it'll be a team type of effort where Najee, with success, can open up Pickett's ability to throw the ball. I don't think he wants Pickett throwing the ball 50 times a game like Big Ben used to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with that.
And you don't want that necessarily.
Yeah, he's a young kid. I'm okay with that.
Ziggy, what were your takeaways?
I worry a little bit about this plan from the Steelers. I mean, you look at the team last year, and the offensive game plan, running the ball was somewhat successful, right? They were 16th in total rushing. They were able to move the ball pretty consistently, right? They were better than their opponents in yards per game, yards per play, 3rd down conversions. They had like 30 more rushing yards a game than their opponents. Mm-hmm. And they were 27th in scoring, right? The offense was ugly, despite the run-first game plan kind of working as intended. So I worry that if this team's trying to run it back with just some changes, right? A slightly better Kenny Pickett, slightly improved receivers from guys like George Pickens taking that next step forward. If you're trying to bring forth the same basic plan, you're going to get the same basic results, which is a lot of rushing yards and having the clock for a long time, getting those first downs and not scoring touchdowns. It's just tough to succeed like that in today's NFL. So I worry that their goals to try and create a functional offense this year are starting off on the wrong foot because they're forcing an identity they don't need. It's not like this team doesn't have receivers. It's not like you don't have a decent quarterback or a good offensive line. So I don't know.
But here's the thing, too, before you go, Paul. I think Kenny Pickett is going to be a good enough quarterback where the offense can play through him. Like if Najee Harris is not having a good game, if they're not running the ball well, I think Pickett can take over, can kind of spearhead the offense, and then that will kind of spearhead Najee.
Mm-hmm. I'm fine if they want to do that. Like last season, Pickett was turning the ball over a lot at the start of the season. They kind of pull in the reins and start running more, and that's when they start to have more success. You mentioned that, Ziggy. We have right here at the end of the last season, I'm pretty sure that they ran for over 100 yards in 9 of their final 10 games. And as down the stretch of the season, they were what, like 7-2 or something like that, I think, in their final 9?
Yeah, 7-2.
Yeah, so as they continued to play better football, it was ugly still, though. That's like what you said, Ziggy. They were winning these games, but I don't know if you can account for winning so many close games like they did at the end of last season with the offense they have. I think it needs to be exactly what you're saying, Jack. You can have this run-first mentality and play defense, but if your approach is don't let Pickett make the mistake, at some point I think that catches up to you, especially in the AFC where they are right now with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, you have Joe Burrow, so many great quarterbacks and so many high-scoring offenses. I think about the Vikings a lot when I see these defensive-minded coaches. It's tough to win when you're not adapted to today's NFL. So if they're willing to put the ball in Pickett's hands more, which I bet they are,
I think they should.
But if they're willing to do that as the season progresses and hopefully he's playing well, I think it should be fine. But I don't want to see an offense where they're restricting Pickett. If he's playing well, let him go. Let him grow. That's how you get better. Well, you got to make some mistakes sometimes.
That's the thing. Last year, we saw countless times. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see the potential Pickett has with his arm. We saw it on several occasions last year, and it was the same deal with Big Ben. And maybe because Pickett was a rookie, who knows? But he was throwing the ball. He'd complete 3, 4, 5 passes in a row. He'd look awesome, and then we abandon it, which I don't like. So, I mean, I want to see Kenny Pickett this season, and I think we will have his games where he's awesome. And I think he's going to win some games. And if that's the case, I don't want to be a run-first team that day.
Okay.
Mike Tomlin loves to ask what the standard is and say who's the standard. Well, here's the standard in the AFC. It's the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
So it's one thing if you don't trust your quarterback, but Kenny Pickett is clearly earning that trust. The most important thing for them this year is not to dumb down the offense to suit their head coach who just wants to manage the risk reward. You got to find the right balance, and I'm optimistic they will, but they need to be careful not to make the same mistakes they did last year.
And you can beat up on the AFC South. You can beat the Browns. You can win those games by playing run-first football and defense, not letting Kenny lose the game. But you go into Arrowhead in January, it doesn't matter. I don't care how good their running game is. You're not going to outscore Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in that situation. So that's where I do think that by that point in the season, you need to have faith in Pickett and be willing to let him just go.
If Pickett's playing well, the cuff should be off.
Yeah.
100%.